What's going on, Spitfires? Welcome back to the Spitfire Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Lemunion, the Spitfire Coach. And if you're listening to this, you are a Spitfire. And I don't know if anyone's told you that, but just by listening to another Spitfire, you in turn will have your Spitfire energy activated. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And the topic for today may be a little surprising because you probably think that it's all about passion, it's all about being fired up. But as I said in the previous episode, we are looking at how to take better care of you. We have all been through a crazy time, a very pressurized time with the pandemic. We were all put in positions we'd never been in. I mean, quarantining, not knowing who we can see, who has coronavirus, who doesn't have it, who we can trust, what we can trust, information, the whole nine yards. And so a lot of things were activated. Anytime that things are under sustained pressure and stress, it can create either the best in us or it can really just grind us down. And it depends on who we are at the core. If you think about a diamond and the carbon that's there and pressurized over time, it creates something super strong and super beautiful once it's polished up. And I think we're a lot like that. But if we don't spend the time to understand who we are at the core, then we're looking for things outside of us to support us. And when those things aren't there, that pressure just makes everything collapse down. And that's where a lot of people are right now. And so today we're talking about forgiveness because we all have a lot of healing to do. We have all been under a feeling of trauma. If you have had any loss in your life, if you have had loved ones pass on, if you have been infected and were wondering if you were going to be okay or not, if you've lost friendships. And don't forget, before the pandemic, we were or even during the pandemic, we were in the midst of really polarized political issues, which still are the case right now. So we may have had severings of relationships. We may have not seen people for a long time. We may have felt judged. I know a lot of this is happening in family dynamics. And so when we have these long-standing histories with people and they go away, or maybe there was a really intense breakup, it's hard to resolve this and move on without forgiving first yourself and the other person. And so I want to just take this opportunity to give you that space to do that, because level 2 energy, which is what we are living in, it is a very primary energy. Level 2 energy is where we are feeling in high conflict, where things from the outside feel like a threat. So in order for us to be able to get things done, we are fighting against it. We are conflicting. We are judging. It is like full on friction. And so we have to first acknowledge, where is the friction in our life? Where are we still holding on to conflict or judgment or comparison, where maybe we wish people were different? Maybe we wish the relationship was different. Maybe we wish life was different. So think about things on a first very existential level, like what are you still fighting with outside? Are you mad? Are you mad at the coronavirus? That's okay. Are you mad at the government? Are you mad at, information? Are you mad at social issues? Are you mad at racial issues? It's okay to be mad. It's totally okay. I just want you to write it down. So whoever it is or whatever it is that you feel like you are having conflict with, just write it down. Write the topic down. We don't need to go into the story of why you're raging against it. And then let's go a little deeper. Maybe we had some community breakups. Maybe we noticed that people that we thought were our friends really aren't. Or maybe we had very core value conflicts that, hey, we used to be in a book club together, but now we realize we are on very different sides of this core value issue. I've actually heard this come up a lot. It's like, this person was really nice when we were drinking wine, and then they had some crazy shit to say about racial inequalities. And yeah, we don't agree. So a lot of that's come up. A lot of the things that you used to do that just don't work anymore, where you could go and sit at a bar and have those kind of surface level conversations now don't work, because we don't really have surface level things going on. We are having much more deep needs for conversations. So the people who haven't made those adjustments, maybe we've had conflict with that. Maybe we don't feel seen and heard. or acknowledge. Maybe we feel like people haven't been checking in on us. So if that's the case, just write down that person's name, or write down just kind of the theme of this situation. Maybe it's book club Betty, or wine club Wendy, or something like that. And just write it down. We don't need the backstory. And then let's go a little deeper there and think about friendships, closer friendships, not the, acquaintance level groups, but who in your life have you been conflicting with? Who has not really shown up, or you haven't shown up for them, or you're just kind of like, we were friends 3 years ago and I'm not sure what happened. What are you still holding on to there? So just write that person's name down. Maybe this person was really important to you and you wish that they still were, or maybe this person is still kind of hanging on and you kind of wish that things broke off. So write their name down, or write the situation. And then think about in your household, your family. So maybe not the family that you're living with, but your core unit of family. Maybe it's a brother or sister. Maybe it's a parent. Maybe it's your significant other. Maybe it's your husband or wife. Who are you feeling like you're having some friction with, belief system wise, agreement wise, not feeling seen or heard? Whatever it is, just write that person's name down. I promise we will tear this up, or the person will have no idea what we're doing. So obviously, if you're sitting next to the person, probably don't write their name. Maybe come up with a code name for them. Or if you're driving, listen to this podcast again when you have some private time. So we have gone through our environment, the things that are outside of us, our communities, our smaller groups, our closer friendships, and our most intimate relationships. And without a doubt, there's going to be friction. This is just how life works. When there are things that don't work for us, we start to feel that. It's kind of the rub, when we might be having a little misalignment. And the more that kind of wears on us, it does hollow us out. It's kind of this existence of tolerating things longer than we need to, or thinking that we have to tolerate them. This is what we call level 3. So we are forgiving things in level 3, but if we don't move out of it to build something new, then this is where things that don't work for us get tolerated. So we can forgive, and then we have to move to something else. So this is the first step. So first, acknowledging where the conflict is, who it's with, and then we're moving to level 3 of forgiving it. So start with the one that sticks out to you the most, that if you could release these feelings of conflict or friction around, that you feel like it would really open up more things for you. So just kind of circle that person's name. And then next to that person's name, what is it that you need to release? What are you still holding on to about this person? Not the backstory, but what would it really take for you to say to them, or them to say to you, to let it go? And we're not saying to let the hurt go, but we're saying to let the energy pull go, that feeling, that reminder, that poke. So I've had I just had a huge shift last night. As you're thinking about this, I'll tell you a personal story. So 5 years ago, was in a very different place, was fresh out of a divorce, was entering a new relationship. And I had a friend who was friends with my ex-husband, and she and I were having tons of fun, going out, dancing, singing, partying, living the single girl life. And after almost a year, we were starting to have points of friction, and she and I were pulling in different directions. She was going in one direction, I was going in the other, and both of us were feeling very similarly, but we didn't know how to communicate it. So it ended up showing up as passive aggression or judgment or criticism, but nothing was ever being expressed into what it actually was, which was fear and change. And so 5 years ago, I don't even remember what it was, but we just stopped talking. And last night I saw this person for the first time in 5 years. And it was really funny because I had a feeling that this person was going to be there. This was the first time I'd been around people in a year and almost a half. And she wasn't there initially, but her partner was. And he was super happy to see me, give me a hug. Everyone gave me a hug. And it was funny because I could tell that the people who were there were more uncomfortable than I was. And I was like, you know what? If I see her, it's going to be great. I'm going to show up. I'm going to be present. I'm going to see how this goes. And I didn't realize that all these other people were holding their breath and super nervous about it. And this person arrived, And, it was a reset. It wasn't like, hey, let's fall back and everything's fine. But it was just this acknowledgement that over time, people grow up and people have the capacity to shift. And it's a gradual rebuild. But both of us were in a place to not want to carry the past on our heart, to not allow the past to weigh us down and to become the narrative moving forward. And we were talking, and she said something, and she started crying when she first saw me, and then about an hour later she said something and I started crying, and it just became this very sweet moment of like, we are human beings supporting each other, and we will always care about each other. And what our friendship and relationship looks like will continue to play out. Life happens, but the people who matter in your life are going to be there, whether it's next week, next month, or next year. But don't wait for that person to come to you. If you have any power of saying what you need to say to just clear the space for you, not to attack them, but to really just own your stuff. Maybe the person isn't alive anymore. Maybe the person doesn't live close by, but what can you do to just really reset it, to allow yourself to own your peace, not in specifics, but to just really own what you want to forgive in yourself and what you want to let go, and see what happens. When we detach from the outcome, it allows people the space to show up as they need to without having to be perfect. But if it's about clearing the space for us to really allow that space in our heart to open up, it's amazing what can happen. I mean, I slept great. I woke up energized to record this podcast. And I don't have any expectation on what the friendship looks like or what the relationship looks like, but I know that I have the capacity to forgive. I have the capacity to release, and I have the capacity to make my future what I want it to be, and to have the people that I love and that care about me to do awesome things. Those are the people that are going to be around. And so sometimes people are in your life for a reason or a season or for a lifetime. And it's not up to you to decide right now who those people are, but it's okay to let people go, and it's okay to welcome them back in when they're ready. So whoever is sticking out for you, just send a lot of love to them and send some love to you. I encourage you to pick up the phone versus sending a text or an email. If you can do it face to face, even better. If you're vaccinated, man, hugs feel so great right now. It's good for the soul. So whoever is sticking out to you, whatever it is that you feel like you need to forgive, not forget, but just release the pain that's attached to it, and see what can heal in you so that you can be empowered to make big change happen, that you can pay that forward and be the example that you want to see in the world. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up, Lauren@SpitfireCoach.com. Make sure that you're subscribed for the podcast. We're on Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. It's the Spitfire Podcast. And if you have any topics or questions, feel free to message me. I'm happy to take them on and see where we go from there. And for all the Spitfires out there, keep being awesome.